Microsoft stock. As always, we look at qualitative and also quantitative aspects. At the end of the video we also calculate the fair value. So be sure to stay tuned until the end. But first, the disclaimer is in every video. Microsoft operates in the technology and software industry. The company is the largest software manufacturer in the world. The company employs 163,000 employees compared to 144,000 employees in 2019. The company was thus able to increase the number of employees by about 19,000 employees. The market capitalization is $1.75 billion. Microsoft is headquartered in Redmond, Washington. CEO Satya Nadella has been in office since 2014. He is strongly committed to the expansion of the company's cloud business. He has been with the company since 1992. Before being appointed CEO, he worked in the company's cloud division. When he took office, the Microsoft share price was around $30. Let's first look at the founding and success story of Microsoft. The company was founded on April 14, 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. In 1979, the company moved to Washington in the US state on the West Coast, and the first large order came from IBM. It was for the development of an operating system for the PC. 1 year later, the operating system was completed and presented under the name MS-DOS. At that time, there was no exclusive contract for the operating system. Microsoft was therefore able to sell the operating system to other companies. In 1985, Windows was released. A year later, the company went public and the company moved to Redmond, where it is located today. In 1990, Microsoft Office was released. This is all of the company's Office programs bundled into one package. In 1995, Windows 95 was released and Internet Explorer was launched. The period from 1998 to 2009 was a tough time for the company. There were several failures, accusations and lawsuits regarding monopoly abuse and data privacy violations. In 2012, the first computer of the company's own production was introduced. This was a so-called tablet computer. The year 2013 was the low point of the crisis. At that time, the mobile phone division of Nokia was bought up. The purchase later turned out to be a flop. From 2014, the company was restructured and the cloud area in particular came into focus. Now let's look at the performance of the Microsoft share. Since 2016, the chart of the share has risen sharply and could well quadruple. The performance over the last 5 years is 305.9%. The performance over the last 3 years is 160.2% and the performance over the last year is 27.9%. Now let's look at the performance of the Microsoft share. Since 2016, the chart of the share has risen sharply and could well quadruple. The performance over the last 5 years is 305.9%. The performance over the last 3 years is 160.2% and the performance over the last year is 27.9%. Let's now turn to the company's business model and business units. Microsoft's core business is the design, development and marketing of operating systems and software programs for PC and server. The company is also active in the construction and sale of computer equipment, especially hardware. The largest business unit is the sale of operating systems and tools for application development with 44.5%. Examples include Windows and software for server operation. This is followed by the development of cloud-based software applications with 24.7%. For example, this includes programs for productivity such as the Office programs, integrated management and customer relationship management, online file sharing and management, which attacks Microsoft, for example, and unified and collaborative communications. The company achieved particular success with its Teams software, which is now also used in online teaching. Sales of video game hardware and software account for 8.1%, including the Xbox in particular. There is also the Business Services division, which accounts for 4.5%, and sales of computer tablets and accessories, which account for 4.5%. All other divisions account for 13.7%. Now let's look at revenue by segment and region. The largest business area is Intelligent Cloud, with revenue of $48.4 billion in fiscal 2020. Compared to the previous year, this business area increased by 24%. The personal computing business area was in second place at 48.3% and has increased to 5.6%. The smallest business area is productivity and business processes with $46.4 billion and an increase of 12.7% compared to the previous year. The regions are only broken down into the USA and other countries. The USA is the strongest region in terms of revenue with $73.2 billion. Compared to the previous year, it increased by 14%. All other countries generated revenue of $69.9 billion. Let's also take a look at Microsoft's product range. The productivity and business processes area includes the products Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft Dynamics. The already mentioned Microsoft Teams and Skype for communication and the LinkedIn platform. The Internet and Cloud area includes in particular cloud applications from Microsoft SQL Server and Windows Server. The business area more personal computing includes the Windows operating system, hardware, so-called intelligent devices and accessories. Gaming accessories with hard and software such as the Xbox Series and matching games also belong to this area. Last but not least, the search engine Bing also belongs to the personal computing area. Other examples of brands and products bought up include the developer studio Mojang, the well-known game Minecraft, the communication software Skype, but also own brands such as Microsoft Office or the Microsoft Surface are part of the brand portfolio. You are probably also familiar with the products Windows Vista, Cortana, Microsoft Edge or the Office products. Next, let's take a closer look at the company's dividend development. Since the financial crisis in 2010, the dividend has been steadily increased. Dividend growth over the last 5 years has averaged 10.5% per year. In fiscal year 2020, a dividend of $2.04 was paid out. When it comes to the dividend, we also have to take a closer look at the payout ratio and the real payout ratio, i.e. the share buybacks plus the dividend paid out. In the last 5 years, the dividend has always been financed from free cash flow. With the exception of 2016, the share buybacks have also always been financed from free cash flow. In the years 2017 to 2020, the real payout ratio fluctuated between 70 and 85%. This means that the real payout ratio is also within a healthy range. Next, let's take a closer look at debt and some key figures on the financial situation. In fiscal year 2016, Microsoft had a cash balance of $113 billion. By fiscal year 2020, the cash balance has increased to $136.5 billion. Net debt in 2016 was negative $59.3 billion, which means that the company had more receivables than liabilities. By 2020, net debt had increased further to negative $72.2 billion. As a result of the negative net debt, we do not calculate debt-equity ratios. Next, let's take a closer look at debt and some key figures on the financial situation. In fiscal year 2016, Microsoft had a cash balance of $113 billion. By fiscal year 2020, the cash balance has increased to $136.5 billion. Net debt in 2016 was negative $59.3 billion, which means that the company had more receivables than liabilities. By 2020, net debt had increased further to negative $72.2 billion. As a result of the negative net debt, we do not calculate debt-equity ratios. Let's also take a look at the moat. Microsoft owns brands that are known all over the world. The company has a broadly diversified portfolio of brands and companies. Its products are not only used at home, but also in the offices of large companies. Its sheer size also gives the company a relative cost advantage compared to its competitors. Microsoft therefore has low production costs and high profit margins. So-called ABO models, which are becoming increasingly popular, also support this effect. With its patents and highly qualified employees, the company also possesses a great deal of know-how. The management works innovatively and is able to recognize important trends and focus on them. An important example of this is the cloud computing sector in the business area of productivity and business processes. The strong Office brand has become a global standard, and this program is used in almost every company in the world. The software is not only produced exclusively for Windows, but can also be used on Apple computers, for example. Microsoft can also benefit from the newly introduced subscription system. The network platform LinkedIn has become standard in the career world. The only competitor is Xing. In addition, Microsoft also benefits from the largest open-source software platform. There is also very large growth in Microsoft Teams through online teaching. In the cloud computing business, Microsoft can secure economies of scale because, as the second largest provider of cloud solutions, the company has very low costs. In addition, Microsoft has a better image than Amazon and Google and can therefore win and process potential orders, for example from the US government. Furthermore, the Windows operating system still makes up the majority with a market share of 77% on very many computers in the world. As always, we also have some facts worth knowing for you. Microsoft is a clear Corona beneficiary, as many companies have switched to home office and this is likely to remain the case in the long term. More so-called mobile devices will be needed. People also use Microsoft products at home and buy Surface tablets, for example. The cloud business also benefits from Corona. Microsoft can open up new niches, for example developing new Microsoft software for financial service providers. As digitalization continues, Microsoft can benefit by providing new industry cloud solutions. In the automotive industry, the company is working with Volkswagen on autonomous driving. By the way, we have already analyzed VW in the past. In the tourism industry, the company is cooperating with Amadeus on innovative cloud solutions for the tourism market. Furthermore, there is great growth in gaming and cloud gaming. We also want to compare Microsoft with its most important competitors. The most important competitors include Apple, Tencent and Alphabet. We have also analyzed all three in the past. In terms of revenue, Microsoft is in third place with $143 billion, while in terms of profit, Microsoft is in second place behind Apple with $44.3 billion. With an average 5-year earnings growth rate of 12.3%, Microsoft is in third place. With an EBIT margin of 37%, however, the company is in first place. With a price-earnings ratio of 35.4, however, Microsoft is the most highly valued. We also want to compare Microsoft with its most important competitors. The most important competitors include Apple, Tencent and Alphabet. We have also analyzed all three in the past. In terms of revenue, Microsoft is in third place with $143 billion, while in terms of profit, Microsoft is in second place behind Apple with $44.3 billion. With an average 5-year earnings growth rate of 12.3%, Microsoft is in third place. With an EBIT margin of 37%, however, the company is in first place. With a price-earnings ratio of 35.4, however, Microsoft is the most highly valued. Now let's look at the dividend expectations for the next 10 years. For the first 3 years, we have used Analyst's estimates. In 2020, a dividend of $2.04 was paid out, corresponding to a dividend yield of 0.88%. By 2025, the dividend paid out could rise to $3.56. The dividend yield would then be 15.3%. The dividend yield would then be 15.3%. In 2030, a dividend of $5.67 could be paid out, with a dividend yield of 2.55%. If you were to buy a Microsoft share at the current price, you would get your money back through the dividend after 44 years. Let's also look at the valuation in the past. The price-earnings ratio over the last 10 years has averaged 23.9. Currently it is 39.7. The average enterprise value divided by EBIT was 14.9 and is currently 31.8. The average price-sales ratio was 5.6 in the past and has currently more than doubled to 12.3. With a current share price of $232.38, we arrive at a free cash flow yield of 2.57%. Let's move on to the calculation of fair value. Based on a number of valuation methods, we use the average price-earnings ratio since 2010, the industry standard price-earnings ratio, the average enterprise value divided by EBIT, the average enterprise value divided by EBIT over the last 5 years, and the average price-sales ratio. According to all these valuation methods, Microsoft is currently overvalued. We arrive at an average fair price of $156.83. This puts the fair price 32.51% below the current price. Last but not least, let's look at the calculation of fair value based on discounted cash flows. We have used Analyst's estimates for the first 4 years. We also assume perpetual growth of 3%. With a discount factor of 10%, we arrive at a fair value of $165.10. The purchase price with a margin of safety of 22% is $128.78. This means that Microsoft is currently overvalued in terms of both fair value and purchase price with a margin of safety. We also arrive at an internal rate of return of 8.12% and, with a margin of safety of 22%, an internal rate of return of 6.34%. Now it's your turn. Do you already have Microsoft shares in your portfolio, or would you buy them at the moment? Feel free to write this in the comments. You can also share your own assessments of the fair value. As always, we also rely on your feedback. If you liked the video, feel free to give us a thumbs up. Also, we're always happy to receive suggestions for further analyses in the comments. We recommend subscribing to the channel and activating the bell so you won't miss any more videos. Thank you and see you next time.